Hey kids, welcome to another episode of Hyperspace Hijinx. I'm Rich, the co-host of the Castle Capes and Clones podcast, and on today's episode we're going to do some unboxing. Recently, Target released a bunch of Galaxy's Edge related merchandise, including some Black Series 6-inch figures. And I have 3 of them we're going to unbox today. So the first one is this guy, who is Captain Cardinal. You see here, pretty much looks like a red First Order Stormtrooper, similar to Captain Phasma. So a little bit about this character. He's not really from any of the animated stuff or the movies, obviously. He's actually from the books. But he originally is from, I think his name is Archex or Archex. It's Archex. I don't know how to pronounce that. Looks like Archex to me. But he is from the planet of Jakku. After the Battle of Endor, the events of Return of the Jedi, the actual Civil War didn't end then. It actually ended after the Battle of Jakku. So when you watch Force Awakens and you see Rey scavenging a Star Destroyer, you see the kind of remnants of that battle. That's where the Empire finally, I think, surrendered or gave up. I can't remember exactly, but that was the battle that took place a little bit after Endor, that actually ended that conflict between the rebels and the Empire. So Archex, or later to be known as Captain Cardinal, was orphaned after the Battle of Jakku, and he actually was taken in by the Empire, or the former Empire at that point. And he actually became one of the First Order Stormtroopers. He later became a personal guard to Hux, which is actually Hux's father. Hold on. He actually became a personal guard to Hux. His actual name escapes me right now, but Hux is the father of General Hux from The Force Awakens. So he actually became then also not just the first Stormtrooper, but he became like a trainer, and as personal guard to Hux, he was kind of gifted with this red armor and given the name Captain Cardinal. During a mission, Hux kind of left. Cardinal was there on the ship, and when Hux came back, in tow, Hux had a young female named Phasma, who later became Captain Phasma and his new guard. So it was a little bit of a jealousy thing between Phasma and Cardinal. And in fact, the way Captain Cardinal ties into Galaxy's Edge, so Batuu, is that he goes to Batuu, captures Vi Marathi, who is a character that runs around Galaxy's Edge, or Batuu, in Disneyland and in Disney World. Captured her and interrogated her for information about Phasma. And that's who this guy is. So let's unbox him and see what it looks like. Before we unbox them, let's kind of look at the artwork here. So if you look, from this angle, it's kind of the typical old style Black Series figures. On the side, you can kind of see the Galaxy's Edge artwork. And then on the front, you get a little thing that says imported from Galaxy's Edge. So Kind of cool. On the back, there's like a little bit about Captain Cardinal. Also, since these are not part of the normal Black Series line, there's no designation number. Just says Captain Cardinal. Let's open her up. Him up. Comes with a blaster rifle and a pistol, and has a cloth shoulder cape thing. I don't know what to call that. But let's take him out. So here he is in all his glory. He actually does have an awesome kind of cloth cape, as you see here. But typically it looks like a stormtrooper from the First Order. So his cape doesn't really move from here, or if it is, it's pretty solid on here. But you can still move his head and whatnot. So that's kind of cool. He doesn't have any holsters, but he does have a slot on his leg for his pistol. So kind of just sits there. I don't know if it would survive rigorous play, but if you have him on a stand or just sitting there on the shelf, the gun should stay there. So his right hand, you can kind of see it's made to hold the blaster rifle. So he's got his kind of fingers on the form so that his fingers are on the trigger. So like that. It's pretty cool. Let's compare him to actually Captain Phasma. So this is Captain Phasma. Captain Phasma is actually a little bit heftier than Captain Cardinal. I think she's actually bigger. The difference in the way it's built is the cape on Phasma is plastic, so it's not a cloth cape like Captain Cardinal does. But you can kind of see the size difference here. She is substantially taller than him. So you can see. It's kind of like the height difference there, which I guess makes sense. Phasma is quite a tall cookie, so I think she's made definitely for display. See, his gun fell off. Because of his cape is a little more flexible, you can do a little bit more with him. Probably pulls him better. So he's a little bit shinier than Captain Phasma. I feel like in the movie, Phasma has got a little more shiny armor, but this could be just because of the way the figures were made back then. Phasma is, I think, one of the first waves of Black Series figures when Force Awakens came out. So yeah, that is Captain Cardinal. Woohoo! Alright, so our next figure from the line is Hondo Ohnaka. Obviously, he's a big part of Galaxy's Edge because he is part of the Smugglers Run ride, which is the Millennium Falcon ride. So this is him during the time of the sequel trilogy. So I think it's after The Last Jedi, before Rise of Skywalker. So he's had a pretty long history in Star Wars, pretty much. I mean, not in terms of like the movies and production and stuff, but like he first debuted in the Clone Wars cartoon. So Hondo Ohnaka's a pirate, right? And he had a gang called the Hondo Ohnaka gang, or Ohnaka gang. And his debut, he ended up drugging Obi-Wan and Anakin along with Count Dooku. And that's kind of where his relationship with Obi-Wan and Anakin began. But, you know, his involvement in Star Wars also went into Rebels, where he kind of befriended Ezra Bridger. But by that point, the Empire's taken over, his gang was dissolved, and he was kind of on his own. Still doing piratey stuff, but he lost, like, everything. Like, he had no ship and all those kind of things. Ended up kind of being an ally to the Rebels then. Then after Rebels, he actually meets Han Solo and Chewbacca. And so he has a history with the Millennium Falcon, and he's always wanted it. So he meets a young Han Solo and Chewbacca, and then there's a book called The Pirate's Price, and it's a young adult book. It's 3 stories of Hondo and his relationship with the Millennium Falcon. So the first story is about him meeting Han Solo and Chewbacca when they're young. I would say probably a little bit after the events of Solo, the movie. And then he crosses paths with Maz Kanata, who he helps her rescue Han and Chewie. And then we see him again post Last Jedi, where we kind of see the story of how he comes into, not possession, but kind of in a partnership with Chewbacca, with the Millennium Falcon, over in Batuu. So that's where the Millennium Falcon is, and that's why he's there. So, fun fact, he is voiced by Jim Cummings. In fact, the audiobook for Pirate's Price I would recommend getting, because it's voiced by him, and he's an amazing voice actor. You probably know him better as Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. So that's kind of cool. This is like the second version of this character in the Black Series. He actually is part of a 3-figure set. I believe it's with Chewbacca, Rey, a couple Porgs, and him, available at Galaxy's Edge. But this is the first time you see him as a Solo. Take a look at the box, the same kind of thing. Kind of looks like the typical Black Series box. Again, on the side, it's the Galaxy's Edge kind of artwork. No designation number, but it has, Hondo Ohnaka is the name. And then also the imported from Galaxy's Edge kind of badge. So as far as accessories, he just comes with a blaster, as you can see here. So here we have Hondo. His clothing is kind of plastic clothing, so it's not cloth or whatever. It's got a lot of detail in it. He's older, so his tusk protrusion thingies are a lot longer. His whatever hair is longer. The species is called the Weequay. They were most notably seen in Return of the Jedi as Jabba the Hutt's kind of henchmen guys. So I think for a while they were known as villains. But, what's cool about Star Wars and some of the new stuff coming out from the Clone Wars to Rebels to now the Mandalorian and Resistance, you kind of see that, not all species are good or bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you first see Greedo, you think, okay, all Rhodians are evil, but they're not. There's some of them are nice, just like anybody else. While he is a pirate, it's kind of like Captain Jack Sparrow. He's a pirate. They do bad things, but he's pretty much kind of like a pirate with a heart of gold kind of thing. Except for the one time he tried to kidnap kids. That was weird. But he actually does have a holster, so he can hold his gun in there. What's interesting is that since the holster is on the left side, his left hand is the one that's kind of formed so it holds a gun with the trigger finger and whatnot. I do kind of wish that his goggles came off, but he typically always has them on, so it's forgivable, but I think it'd be kind of cool if he can kind of slide them up or whatever. These new figures are actually well designed and sculpted with a lot of detail. So, Hondo. Alright, so our last one for today is probably my favorite release that they have. So this is DJ R3X, so DJ Rex. He originally was only available as a Black Series figure at Galaxy's Edge in another 3-pack of droids. I believe it's C-3PO, R2-D2, I don't know if BB-8's in that one. He might be also, but then that was the way you can only get DJ Rex. But now he's available at Target in the Galaxy's Edge Trading Outpost line. Cool thing about him. So his history with Star Wars goes back to Disneyland and the Star Tours ride. Back then, he was known as RX-24 and was the shuttle pilot of Star Tours. He was voiced by Paul Rubens, and he was like a new pilot. So if you've been on that ride, you kind of know that, Star Tours is kind of like a shuttlecraft service that takes you from planet to planet. And it was his first time piloting, and it's been a while since I've been on that version because they kind of replaced it a few years ago with a whole new set of adventures. But you pretty much the flight didn't go as planned and stuff happened. So I think the Star Tours thing takes place around the original trilogy time. But before the original trilogy, he was actually a shuttle pilot on Lothal in Rebels. So he made his animated debut in Rebels in Season 1, Episode 3, where we actually meet C-3PO and R2-D2 for the first time in Rebels, obviously. And that's where they also meet the crew of the Ghost. So again, he was also voiced by Paul Rubens in an episode. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's pretty funny. But after his misadventures on Star Tours, he was fired, became a cargo pilot. Eventually, he crash landed on Batuu and was mind wiped and sold to Oga, who owns a cantina in Batuu or Galaxy's Edge. And now he serves as a DJ. So he is now known as DJ R3X. This is a bigger box because Rex is kind of a bigger kind of figure. He's got a lot more to him. But still, same kind of packaging as the original Black Series, except for the Galaxy's Edge artwork, and also has the badge that says imported. So, he doesn't come with any accessories. I mean, he didn't really have any accessories. He was just kind of a droid. But, has a lot of arms, pretty wide base. So, let's see what kind of articulation he's got. So, when you're opening it, be careful because his arms kind of come off. Because the clamshell kind of really hugs it, so you got to really get him out. So, that was a little crazy getting him out. So, here he is. In all his glory. He has 3 arms that are all kind of movable. Kind of swivel it up and down like that. There's 2 joints, so you can move that around. It's cool, like all his arms are different lengths. So all of his arms have a kind of base here. You can see his body has looks like 3 rings, so you can kind of move this one around that way. The middle one kind of moves by itself also. Let me see. And then the top one also moves independently. And so you can also move him on his base. His head goes all the way around. Okay, so the base, you can see there, that is actually separated from this, so it's independently. You can kind of move them that way as well. As he is the DJ version, he does have his headphones, because of course a droid needs headphones. But it kind of adds to the character of him, so like I said, he is a fun character to have. I love droids. I kind of wish I had one, but yeah, so that is DJ Rex. So thank you guys for joining me today on this unboxing of the Galaxy's Edge Black Series figures. I know sometimes they're hard to find, but I would actually just check the Target app every now and then. They do pop in here and there. And I've seen probably Rex the most, and then Cardinal. Hondo's a little bit harder to find. I didn't pre-order these at all. I just ended up, again, checking the app. But they're definitely worth it for the collection. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification to be alerted when we have new content. Be sure to join us every Thursday night at 6:30 Pacific for the Castles, Capes, and Clones podcast, where we talk about everything under the Disney umbrella. So Disney stuff, Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, and anything that kind of belongs to any of the Disney companies, including stuff like 20th Century Studios, Hulu, stuff like that. And then right now, The Mandalorian Season 2 is on Disney Plus, and every Friday at 1:30 Pacific, we actually do another live podcast where we talk about The Mandalorian. As soon as WandaVision comes out, we'll do that too. So again, please hit the bell notification to be alerted when those come out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you on the flip side.